Hello and welcome to CAS 206. This is your week 1 demo, and this week you're going to learn how to create a simple web page using a text editor, how to reveal file extensions, and the difference between a simple text editor and a web design code editor. First, let's make sure that you can see your file extensions. You can do this by going down to the lower left corner of your computer screen and clicking on the Start button, then choosing Control Panel, and then Folder Options. Go to the View tab and make sure Hide Extensions for known file types is not checked. If it is checked, you can just uncheck it and click OK. Then close the Control Panel. Now open a text editor on your computer. If you're using Windows, go back down to that lower left corner, click on the Start button again, and in Search Programs, type Notepad. Notice that I just get the first 3 letters in there and Notepad pops up. So what we're going to do now is best practices, always save a document before you start working on it. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to save it on my desktop as index.html. When you create websites, you don't want to build them on your desktop, but we're just learning right now, so bear with me. I'll click Save, and I get a button, which I'll drag down into this viewing screen here, called index.html. If you're used to using Google Chrome, you'll recognize that as the Google Chrome browser icon. So when I go ahead and double-click it, it will launch Google Chrome. On the tab it says index.html, and there's no content because we haven't put any content there yet. I'm going to close this, and now let's add some content. I have some content already on my clipboard, which I'm going to go ahead and enter here using the paste shortcut, which is Control-V. I do highly recommend shortcuts. They're great for a lot of different reasons. You can pause this video and take a moment to type this text into your text editor. When you're done, press Control-S to save it again. Now, when I open index.html, I get something that looks very different. Let's move these so you can see them side by side and we can do some comparison. First of all, let's go back to what you typed a couple of minutes ago and let's examine what it did with the web page. The first thing you typed was doctype HTML with an exclamation point at the beginning of it, and that tells the web browser that this is an HTML document. The next thing you put in there was an HTML tag, which is an opening tag. Notice the HTML tag at the bottom, which is a closing tag, and the difference between an opening tag and a closing tag is the closing tag has a front slash. Everything else here is nested inside the HTML tag, and the HTML tag tells the browser all of this is HTML scripting in here. Now we have 2 tags that are nested inside the HTML tag. First we have the head, and let's look at that for a minute. This is the type of type that we're going to be using, so that's all you're basically telling the browser there. But then you're telling the browser, here's the title for my web page. You have an opening title tag and a closing title tag. The closing title tag again has that front slash. And you gave it a title, My First Web Page, which appears on the tab now instead of index.html. You even get a little tooltip that pops up there. Then you have the body, and the body is nested inside its own tag. The body tag up top here, and the closing body tag with a front slash at the bottom, and the content. Everything that is going to be on your web page is going to be inside these body tags. That includes images, all of your page structure, everything. So this is my first web page. All appears over here in the document window. This is my first web page. Before we go on, what if you want to make some changes to your web page? For example, what if you wanted to say, this is my second web page instead of my first one? If you double left click on this, you know it's going to open in the browser. So what you need to do is you need to right click on it and you need to go down to Open With. Now while we've got this open, let me just mention one other thing. We're using Notepad to do all these edits. Don't use Microsoft Word to try to write a web page because it's going to get all kinds of errors in it. You always want to use a text editor. So my personal favorite is Notepad. It's nice and clean if you're going to use a text editor. I have another favorite which I'll introduce you to in just a moment. But let's go ahead and go to Notepad. We're going to change this to my second web page. Well, try spelling. And this is my second web page. Control S, double click, my second web page. This is my second web page. That works fine. But as I said, there's another favorite that I'd like to introduce you to. I like this even better than a text editor. I'm going to open a new tab in Google Chrome and I'm going to type in brackets.io. Brackets is a fabulous code editor. This is different from a text editor, and you're going to see how in just a moment. Now, whether you have Mac or Windows, go ahead and download it here and get it installed on your computer, and then I'll meet you back here in just a minute. Now we have Brackets open on the desktop, and we're going to create our file again. We're going to create index.html. So the first thing that you'll do when you've got Brackets open is you're going to go to File, New. Notice it's untitled. So I'm going to save it. File, Save As, index.html. Saving it to my desktop again. One of the first things you'll probably notice about Brackets is that all the lines are numbered, and this can be very useful later. We're going to be using the same code editor for this course and the next two courses, which are Cascading Style Sheets and JavaScript and jQuery. So this will become an old friend by the end of the year if you do all three courses, or even if you just take the one. I think you'll really enjoy it. So let's go ahead and start entering the text, and I'm going to enter it this time as I go, and you can see you'll see some different things. So exclamation point, doc type, my closing tag. Always want to make sure you get those closing tags. And HTML, of course, would help. Next line, and I get line number 2. Opening tag for HTML. Now, notice something different right away. You see how as soon as I started typing, Brackets began to autocomplete. I'm going to press Enter, and that will go ahead and type the rest of that code for me. All I have to do is put that closing angle bracket. Now I did the closing angle bracket, and I get something else. Brackets knows this is supposed to be a nested tag, so it gave me the closing tag automatically. I'd like to move that closing tag out of the way, so I'm going to press Enter a few times and just kind of put it down there so that I can do some other stuff up here. So I've got my opening HTML tag. I'm going to go down a line. I'm going to go ahead and put this all the way to the left. I don't want an indent. And I'm going to do my opening head tag. Opening angle bracket and HEAD. As soon as I put my closing, I get head again because it knows it's supposed to be nested. Backspace to just align that left. And I'll put in the meta char set. And notice that as soon as I do this, I get the char set. I will go ahead and type until I get the C. I can do the char set, and when I press Enter, it says char set equals, and notice I get those quotation marks. And so now I can put in what I want, which is UTF, and there it is again. So I just press Enter. So now I get the meta char set equals quotation marks UTF-8, end quotes. I have to put in that right angle bracket. Be really careful you do that. I think I'd like that aligned left, so I'm just going to put my cursor there, backspace 1, come back down to the next line, and I'm going to do a title. Right angle bracket, I get that. I'm going to keep all this on the same line. So this is, I think we're up to my third web page now. Third web page. Okay, and I've got my title. That ends the head. Now I go down here to line 7, and I'm going to start the opening tag for body. Body, right angle bracket, get that really great closing tag, backspace to left align. So put my cursor there. This is my third web page. Okay, and I think that is everything I need. I'm going to get rid of this extra space here, which doesn't mean anything other than it's just a cosmetic change. And I'll type Control S. This time, instead of double-clicking on the index.html icon to preview your web page, let's use the live preview inside brackets. Here's the button, the little lightning bolt over on the right side. I'm going to click on it, waiting a moment, and there it is, my third web page. So now, if I want to update it, I can simply go ahead and type fourth web page and fourth web page. Over here, I see live preview, save file to refresh, Control S, and it updates. This is my fourth web page. Pretty cool. Before we conclude this video, let's have just a little talk about accuracy. One of your greatest challenges in this course will be to type correctly. You'll want to be very careful, but you will still make mistakes. If you get stuck, have someone else take a look at your code and see if they can help you find the error. It happens to everyone, but it does get better with practice. And sometimes it can be one little piece of punctuation that completely torpedoes your web page. This happens to people who have been doing this for their entire career. So it's not just because you're new, it's just that this is how browsers work. Computers work this way, garbage in, garbage out. You've heard that before. Look at the title up here on this web page. What would happen if I simply deleted that closing tag? I'll press Control S to save. That's weird. I still have the title. Oh, but and I get a little kind of a weird thing up there. You can see the tooltip is all messed up. And I have no content. So one little piece of punctuation and everything went south. Let's put the front tag back in again. And I see the typo, but bear with me. Let's just press Control S. Now what? Well, brackets, your best friend, has a sense of humor. So as soon as you did title, it auto-completed it for you. So let's get rid of the last here. Delete that. Let's try this one more time. Control S. Okay, everything works again. Believe me, this can get really stressful. And my recommendation is if you get stuck, just ask somebody in the Q&A forum and say, look, would somebody take a look at my website, my code, see if you can find it, and I'll do the same for you, and then really follow up, help each other out. If you email me your HTML page and say, Mrs. Gruner, would you please proofread my webpage for me and tell me what's wrong? I will email you back and I will say, I did find an error, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. That's your job. And that's life, friends, because when you get out there, you've got to be able to have people who will help you, and you can't be going back to your college and saying, hey, please help me out. It's a learning experience, and I'm here to help you learn, and you can't learn if I do stuff for you. So, first of all, be as careful as you can, take lots of breaks, expect mistakes, but also realize this stuff works, and just be patient with it, and I think you're going to find it's really a lot of fun. See you next week, and I hope you enjoyed the video.